Hello, my YouTube screen name is Realize Potential, and welcome to my tutorial. In this tutorial, what I'm doing is making a title screen for a video that I made. The video is called Roanoke Fast Forward. I'm using a new feature of Blender. It's called Dynamic Paint, and I'm using Blender 2.61 beta. 2.61 is available. I just haven't downloaded it yet, and because this is the beta version, it still says 2.6, not 2.61. Okay, let's get started. I am gonna press 1 to go into front view. I'm gonna press Control Alt 0 and it's 0 on the numpad to lock the camera to our current view. With the cube still selected, I'm going to press X to delete and click delete to confirm. Type Shift A to bring up the menu. I'm going to add a plane. Okay, I'm going to press F6 and select line from view. Just move the mouse away to get rid of that menu. Going to type in to bring up our side panel and scroll using the scroll wheel on the mouse to bring it to the location that I need it to be in. I'm going to change the dimensions of that plane I just added. I want the dimension of the plane to match the aspect ratio of the image that I'm using. I know off the top of my head that the size of the image is 2048 by 1536. I don't want it to be those exact size because that's going to be too large. It's going to make us have to scale too much. So I'm going to make it a fraction of that. So instead of 2048, I'm actually going to have it to be 20.48. I'm going to do something similar on the y-axis. Instead of 1536, I'm going to have it be 15.36. So that's going to be the aspect ratio. It's going to keep the same aspect ratio, it's just not going to be quite as large. I'm going to change our resolution to the actual size of the image, which is 2048 by 1536, and we're going to want it to render at 100%. I'm going to scale our plane. Our plane is still selected. I haven't deselected it, so I'm going to press S to scale it to match the size of our camera. You can see that it's the same size as the border. Just zoomed in using the mouse wheel. I am going to set our output destination. Where do I want it to output to? Roanoke time lapse. And I'm just going to call this title. Simple enough. Format, I'm going to use EVI JPEG. It's a good format to use when you don't need sound, although the file size is kind of large. Okay, what now? I am going to split the screen. I right clicked on the little divider and choose split area, move the mouse up so it split the upper area, and choose the size that I want and release. Gonna get rid of our side panels by pressing T with our mouse over this area. Press T and N. In our view, I am going to choose our UV image editor. Excuse me. Scroll in just a little bit. I'm gonna make sure our plane is selected. It's kind of hard to tell if it is or not. I'm gonna rotate it so that you can see that it is selected. I rotate it by holding down the middle mouse button and just moving the view a little bit. I'm gonna go into edit mode by pressing tab. Okay, I'm gonna press U to UV unwrap, and I don't want to do. Let's try smart UV unwrap. No, I don't want that one. Unwrap. That's fine. And let's add an image by going to image, select open image. It's in a directory called single pics. You can I know it's this one, but you can show thumbnails by clicking on this button, and I'm going to double click on the image I want. It's already the correct, I don't need to scale anything, but you can see that it is correct in this view, not just yet. So I'm going to make some changes. I'm going to change this to GLSL and change this to texture. Okay, I'm going to go to top view by pressing with our mouse over this side of the screen. Press 7 on the numpad. Tab out of edit mode and select our lamp. Press G to grab it and move it forward. And release, of course. Gonna go back into camera view by pressing 0 on the numpad. Select our plane again. Let's add a material to it. Select new. Okay. Want the intensity of the specular to be 0. And select texture faces. Now go to textures, add a new texture. It's going to be an image type, image or movie, and click on this button, and from the drop down list choose the image that you selected. Okay, now you can see that we have our image. It's not exactly doesn't quite look like this one. We want it to be uniformly illuminated, so we're gonna make some changes to our lighting. Go back into top view by pressing, I'll tell you what, let's just change this back to 3D view. We no longer need the UV editor. Change this one to textured view as well. Now press with your mouse on this side, press 7 on the numpad to go on top view. I'm gonna go slightly, turn it slightly so I can see. Select our lamp. On a lamp object data, we're going to change it from point to sun, and it instantly turn it black because the sun is not pointing at our plane anymore. I'm going to press 7 on the numpad, go on top view, press R to rotate. Just face it straight, it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's good. Let's change the brightness. I'm going to change the brightness to, I've done this tutorial a few times, so I'm going to change it to 1.7. It's a matter of trial and error. you just change it to whatever you think looks correct. I want it to be as close to the original image as possible. If you want to see the original image, it's in the UV editor, and that looks pretty close. Okay, going to select the plane again. Dynamic paint actually modifies the mesh, and for that to work we need it to have plenty of vertices. So I'm going to add some vertices to this plane. Going to tab into edit mode, press W to bring up our menu and select subdivide. I'm going to change the number of cuts all the way up to 10. I'm going to press W again to subdivide again, and once again change the number of cuts, going all the way up to 10. That might be overkill, but I guess we'll see. Okay, I'm going to and I press tab to go back into object mode, by the way. I'm going to hide our plane for now by pressing H on the numpad and typing Shift A, and we're going to add text by selecting it from the menu. Press F6 to bring up our menu, and once again align to view. Move away to get rid of the menu. Press tab to edit the text, and I'm going to type the title of our video. It's Roanoke. As usual, enter or return goes to the next line. I'll tell you what, I think I want it all caps. That's not how you spell forward. Okay, tab to go back into object mode and change a few things. First, let's center it. Now that the text is centered, we actually want it to be centered into the view. I'm just going to drag it upwards. Let's go into 3D view over here so I can see the thickness. We're in top view, which works well for us. I'm going to change our extrude to, I believe I used 0.6 before. Okay, that looks good. And we are going to move it back so that it's going to be, when the plane is shown, it's going to be behind the plane. Okay. Now first let's make this into a mesh item. Dynamic paint only works with mesh, it won't work with text. So I'm going to press Alt C and select the bottom option, which is mesh from curve, meta, surf, text. Now we have a mesh. I'm going to click on our physics tab and add dynamic paint, and this is going to be a brush. Add a brush. Okay, we're going to leave the default values. Now tab into edit mode, and I want it to move in parts. Let's use our scroll wheel to zoom in. Press B to box select. And select the, okay, that's not going to work. If I do it like that, only the front vertices are going to be selected, and I have a habit of doing that and then getting frustrated with myself because I know this, and some of the back vertices won't be selected because they weren't in view. Let's go back into camera mode by pressing 0. What I have to do is select this first. Now press B, and you're going to see that more of the vertices are selected now. Now everything is selected. Now I want to press P and choose by selection. Now Roanoke is a separate mesh item. I'm going to do the same thing again for Fast Forward, being careful to make sure only Fast Forward is selected, and select P and by selection. Again, by selection. I could do it for realized potential at the bottom, but it's no point since it's the only thing left. It's already its own object. So I'm just going to tab out of edit mode, because this whole, when it was whole, it had dynamic paint canvas set. Everything has that same still. I'm sorry. Everything still has that same setting as a dynamic paint brush. I am going to press Alt H to bring our canvas back, our plane, I should say. I'm going to click on our plane, so it's the only thing selected, and I am going to add dynamic paint to that, but this time this is going to be a canvas. Select Add Canvas. For surface, I'm going to, surface type is going to be waves. Okay, let's go ahead and save this file. I've actually done this type before, like I said, so I'm going to save it. I'm going to turn caps lock off. I'm going to call it the same thing I called it before. Roanoke Fast Forward 1. And it turned red to let me know that that file name already exists, and so I'm fine with that. I know that. I want to go ahead and overwrite it, so I'm just going to press enter. Okay, now let's set some keyframes. I just wanted to be the picture for a while, so gonna go to frame 20. Then on frame 20 we're going to start movement. First thing, let's see, okay, I'm just rotating the image using our scroll wheel. I'm going to press Z so that we can see the objects in the background. Select the word Roanoke. I'm going to set a keyframe in its current position by pressing I. select location. I want to take gonna go to frame 60. It's gonna take 40 frames to move to the next position. Let's bring up our menu again by our side tab by pressing N. I'm gonna say -2. That's not what I wanted. Control Z. Location. There we go. Now -2. Press C again. See how that looks. Okay, that looks fine. See to go back into wireframe. And I'm going to set a key by pressing I. Now we can see how it looks by going to frame 1, pressing Alt A, and you can see the waves forming. Looks pretty good. It's also pretty pixelated. Let's do a few things to change that. Let's select our plane and select smooth. It helped a lot. I also want to add a modifier to it. So let's add a subsurface modifier. Subsurface division. Subdivision surface is what it's called. And it's a lot smoother, but a lot slower. Press escape. Stop our animation. Once again, I'm going to save. You see how there's a 1 at the end? If I just press the plus key, it'll change it to 2. Once again, this file name already exists, so it's going to be pink, red, whatever. I say it's pink. And press enter to confirm. It's okay to override it. Okay. Okay. Let's say we're going to stagger each item by 20 frames. So we're going to select fast forward. Roanoke started moving on to frame 20, so fast forward is going to start moving on frame 40. On frame 40, we're going to select set a keyframe by pressing I and choose location. And last time it was a difference of 40, so this time it's going to be a difference of 40. Frame 80. Once again, we did -2, so we're going to change our Y location -2. We're going to do that on all of the words. And once again, set the location. Okay, just so that we can see a preview, and it doesn't take forever. I'm going to select our plane, and I am going to did that do what I wanted to do? Hold on one second. It did not. I'll tell you what, I'll just delete it for now. Okay, it's looking good. Okay, fast forward, started moving on frame 40. We're going to go up 20 for buy, which is frame 60. Select buy, press I to set a keyframe at this location. Wait a minute. Make sure you go to the correct frame. We're going to go 40 up, so that's 100. Now change our location, -2. I and location. Once again, let's watch it play. See what Roanoke comes up, then fast forward, then buy. Looks good. Finally, buy started on 60, so we're going to go 20 frames up to 80. Select realize potential. Wait a minute, sorry. We want to set our location first. Our location keyframe. Press I. Move up 40. Once again, -2. Press I and set location keyframe. Okay, let's see that play from the beginning. And this is called Roanoke Fast Forward. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have it move back down, each item move back down to touch the plane, and then it's going to zoom off the screen. I'll show you what I mean. Let's go to side view. Well, first let's have that happen in 20 frames. Side view. I'll tell you what, let's go into texture mode so we can see better. Now I'm going to have each of the word groups selected by pressing Shift. Realize potential is already selected. I'm going to select by pressing Shift and the right mouse button, fast forward, and Roanoke. With all of them selected, I'm going to move it down, well, I should say over, to have it touch the plane. Doesn't matter how far up in the plane you have it, as long as it's in the plane. And that's good. I am going to set another keyframe by pressing I and location. And it's going to take about 20 frames to zoom off the screen. So let's go to 160. Go to front view by pressing one on a numpad. One on a numpad. Now press Shift and middle mouse button to pan your view. I'm gonna press N. This side panel is not necessary. Give me a little bit more room to work with. And I'm just gonna use the 3D manipulator to move this whole group. Now that is off the screen, I'm gonna press I to set a keyframe for the location again. Once again, I'm gonna press F2 to save. Plus sign to go to the next number. This is my method of saving different versions in case I ever want to go back to a previous version. Okay, press Alt A. Well, let's go to frame 1. Now Alt A to see how it looks. Looks good, but it's a little too much movement. See, by frame 100, I'm sorry, by frame 250, I want all of the waves to have stopped. What I'm going to do to fix that, I'm going to select our plane. Back to our physics tab, and I'm going to change our dampening. I'll tell you what I'll do. I don't mind the movement at the beginning of the animation. I just wanted to stop at the end. So I'm going to go to frame, press escape to stop that animation. Frame 200. With my mouse over the dampening, I'm going to press I to set a keyframe. And on frame 250, I'm going to go to damping, and let's change it to something like let's try 5. Yep, I guess the highest it can be is 1. Very well. Press I. Let's see how that looks. Okay, it did stop by the end. I think it stopped a little too soon for my taste. Escape. And I'm going to change it to 0.7. See how that looks. Alt A to play. Something I like about the dynamic paint feature is it's real time. Change it to point. Try something much lower, 0.4. Okay, I'm not going to play with this all day. Let's go ahead and add our subdivision surface back again. Let's do a test render, it's not gonna look good. I'm not gonna like the shadow. It's gonna be too dark. See, the shadow is way too dark. It's easy to fix. Basically, all we're gonna do is change the color of the shadow and then settings of the light. Select our sun. Click on the sun tab. The lamp tab. And let's change the color to a medium gray. Okay, that by itself should make it look a whole lot better. I think that looks a whole lot more true to life. Change the samples to 5 and the soft size to 2. And then render. To see the final animation, click on the link in this video.